Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and esteemed guests. We are thrilled to welcome you back to another edition of Storyboard 18's Share the Spotlight, here in the vibrant city of Bengaluru. Last year, we embarked on a journey to amplify the stories of women whose influence and achievements have reshaped industries and communities. Let's raise the curtain on another memorable chapter of Share the Spotlight as we continue to celebrate, learn from, and inspire one another. To officially commence our celebration of groundbreaking achievements and inspiring stories, I'd like to call upon the trailblazer in guiding Titan's watches and wearables division with groundbreaking strategies that blend technology with timeless elegance. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the CEO, Watches and Wearables, Titan Company Limited, Suparna Mitra on stage.
Titan was born exactly 40 years back, actually 40 years and maybe 1 month. And it has been a wonderful journey for this company to achieve market leadership and sustain and expand in all the categories that it is. Today, as a representative of Titan Company, I feel very proud that this company believes in not just the principle of women empowerment and women leadership, but actually lives it. I really, really believe that for some of us to have shown the resilience, the bravery, and the competence to reach where we are, and to get a seat on the table, the real responsibility is how do we pull in more women onto the table. For every woman who's on the table, if you're the first woman on the table, the interesting thing is not that you're the first, but that you will not be the last. And then there will be many more, and then it will be normalized, and people will not be counting the number of women, because it is just what it is. We have many different kinds of women leaders in Titan. We have our Chief Design Officer as a woman. We have multiple business heads, business head of Mia, business head of Zoya, the Chief Marketing Officer of Watches and Wearables, Chief Sales and Marketing Officer of Premium Watches. We have many women leaders. But for today, I thought and I chose some 3 different leaders that I would request Dilshad to take forward.
Let's welcome Rajeshwari, who is the head of assembly, watches and wearables at the Hosur Manufacturing Unit. We also have Shyamala Ramanan, who is the business head at Mia by Tanishq. Also joining Suparna on stage to share her spotlight is Dhanya, who is the leadership development head and for talent management. Let me just begin with you, Rajeshwari, in an area like manufacturing, right? Tell us a little bit about what were some of the challenges that you might have encountered, especially perhaps at a time when there wasn't as much awareness about women in leadership roles and doing more for women and supporting them.
The challenges what I faced is a cultural shock. Because I finished in a village diploma in electronics and post-diploma in computer application. And I thought I'd be joining in IT in Titan. But they put me in the manufacturing area. It is a cultural shock. By seeing I entering in the shop, more than 400 people are sitting there, and they told, you are the supervisor for this event. I don't know ABCD of the watch assembly. I embrace the situation, I embrace the culture, and balance each challenges with a focus of improvement.
Shyamala, you are, of course, you evolved from a functional leader into a business leader. Could you quickly just tell us a little bit how you navigated that and scaled up in the industry?
So from functional to business, well, it wasn't very easy, but it's just that you need to keep an open mind. So one, what I did is I ensured I mastered what I was good at. And I was under the able leadership, and I had all the encouragement I needed. 2, develop business acumen, demonstrate business thinking, see the big picture. After that, take risks. Because if somebody is offering you a role which has got slightly bigger than functional to business, that means the senior management trusts you. And that is half the battle won. So you need to know when to take that plunge. And once you've taken the plunge, what you need to do is learn, unlearn, relearn. What else? And then, of course, you ensure that you stay authentic, you stay vulnerable, you don't need to know all the answers, balance the EQ with the IQ, and of course, in the midst of it all, never lose track of the customers whom you're serving with the products that you're working with. That's the formula that I have used so far.
Absolutely. Well said. Thank you for that. And Tanya, of course, you are in the thick of it all when it comes to, leading talent. Tell me, in what ways did being a woman contribute to your success in creating benchmark talent development programs?
I believe that there are perhaps three things that specifically from a woman's lens that has helped me succeed. One is, a certain nurturing mindset that comes fairly naturally to women, and in the role of talent development, that's really helped me to be passionate for the people that we support their journeys. The next one is, I think, I've also in various occasions brought in a certain higher degree of emotional intelligence and empathy to the employee group. Last but definitely not the least, I think a lot of resilience that women bring. I think I bring that also to the job. Not everything that you plan kind of works very well. But to stay the course and to get other people to also stay the course is, I think, something that, as a woman, that I've brought to the table.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that valuable insight into each of your journeys. Moving on to our next distinguished speaker, I am honored to welcome a luminary who has truly transformed the biotechnology landscape. Please join me in welcoming Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, Executive Chairperson of Biocon Limited and Biocon Biologics Limited.
Let me start by saying that, this is a wonderful initiative where, you're talking about sharing the spotlight. And here I would say that when I started, as a woman entrepreneur 46 years ago, I can tell you that the spotlight was entirely on me. And I really used to find it very, sort of odd that every time I went anywhere, I would be the only woman. However, I must also share with you that when I did start my company, interestingly, I could share the spotlight with many, many people who joined me in my journey. So I had a number of women who were, wanting to do something in the area of science. And, I started this company as a biotech company. I think today we are seeing a number of women leaders, not just heading companies, but also playing leadership roles in organizations. But I think when you look at what happens in the corporate world, I do think that we all have to really focus and make sure that, we ensure that women do have equal opportunities. Nothing should be excluded or restricted to a gender. And so that's the kind of world I would love to have. Thanks.
Thank you so much for that, Kiran. Let me now invite the women that Kiran has brought along with her, and let's welcome them on stage. We have Lata Sharma, Senior Director and Executive Assistant to Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw at Biocon. We have Seema Ahuja, Senior Vice President and Global Head of Communications and Corporate Brand. And Rhonda Duffy, of course, Chief Operating Officer at Biocon Biologics. Let me begin with you, Rhonda. Of course, you've emphasized the role of women as agents of change in science. What kind of space do you believe is essential for empowering women to drive innovation and make a lasting impact in the scientific community?
One of the basic tenets that I have is that women have a lot more initiative. They really are a creative spirit in any organization. So really bringing that strength to any organization and being willing and capable of speaking out and stepping up into those roles. Don't be afraid of taking on the challenge, because in actual fact, you're going to be much stronger and much better than anyone else. So a lot of it comes from grabbing the opportunities that they actually present themselves in front of you. It's really working the way through the problems and actually embracing all of that and looking for the learning. Remember who you are, what you can contribute, and make sure that you're actually driving forward every day with a smile on your face and some energy to bring to everybody else in the room.
Seema, let me come to you next. Tell me, as a leader in charge, as brand custodian, how has your idea of leadership changed as you go along building Biocon into a trusted brand?
Let me first tell you about what really brand Biocon stands for. So brand Biocon stands for inclusivity. Brand Biocon stands for empowering. So the leadership is actually about empowering your people. Leadership is about being a role model. Leadership is all about making sure, giving opportunities to your team, identifying what their strengths are, and giving them an enabling ecosystem where they can flourish. And with Kiran as a role model for all of us, she's actually demonstrated that how you need to really inspire your people, you need to inspire your team on a daily basis. And more importantly, you have to trust them. You have to empower them and you have to trust them and allow them to take their own decisions.
Lata, let me come to you with, of course, a very challenging question. What is it like to manage Kiran?
Firstly, I should tell you, this is like one lifetime achievement award for me today, Because all secretaries' work is like, behind the screen. We never come in front. But the way Kiran ma'am has put me in this spotlight, it's a lifetime achievement award for me. Managing Kiran's calendar is a very challenging
We're glad you put us in there, though.
Okay, we just have 24 hours. I cannot make everyone happy, giving everybody, the time slot, whatever is required. So that is one challenging thing. I have seen both challenge and success working with Kiran. I have learned a lot from her. And I would love to, continue to work with her.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for that wonderful, wonderful conversation. Let me now welcome Sumit Virmani, Executive Vice President and Global CMO of Infosys. Sumit is at the forefront of merging marketing and cutting-edge technology, leveraging AI and data analytics to enhance global outreach and customer engagement. Quickly, Sumit, if you can just sum up the Infosys approach to, sort of navigating these challenges and getting to that point where you have that kind of parity.
Well, first of all, I think this is something which is very, very dear to not just me, but the entire leadership at Infosys, the cause of creating an equitable workplace. Because this has been very core to who we are as an organization. I think we heard about purpose, we heard about the objectives of equity, and that's something that's been very foundational to us for the last 4 decades of our existence. And as a result, today, we do take pride in the fact that 40% of our employees are women. It's a stated ambition as part of our ESG vision. But then again, while we celebrate the numbers as a whole, we also realize that if we actually were to just go down and dissect the reality, not just at Infosys, but across corporate India, there's this whole dimension of a broken rung. If you have to truly break the pyramid challenge and fix the broken rung, we got to train managers at scale.
On that note, Sumit, let me invite up on stage the leaders you've brought with you today. Can I call on stage Manisha Sabu, who's the Vice President and Head of Infosys Foundation and Campus Head at Indore. We also have Keisha Gupta, the Senior Director of Corporate Marketing and Global Head of Academic Relations at Infosys. And Preethu Karen, the lead business partner, HR at Infosys. Manisha, let me come to you first. You've been in the organization a long time. Tell me how you've sort of found a way to balance your personal and professional life. Because for a lot of women, that is a very big challenge.
I guess everybody in the audience today, if they are in this hall, men and women are managing work-life balance very well. I don't really bother about balancing because balancing takes so much of my energy away. If I'm just saying work life. So no balancing, please. Live in the moment and enjoy the value that I add to that moment. It's important to prioritize. Now, it's very easy to say, okay, live in the moment, but there are times when we have conflicted, whether this or that. That's when the conflict comes, that is when the prioritization helps. And when we are doing this prioritization, some of the things which have helped me are be wise, understand what matters to me. Second one is be humble. The third part is be kind to myself. When I'm doing so much, once in a while, I drop the ball. So be kind to myself, take risk, fail, it's fine.
Let me come to you, Keisha. Your journey, of course, is a testament to a nurturing environment. Could you share with us how this space that was created for you, the ecosystem, how has that shaped your path?
When I joined Infosys, so a little background, there's a program that we have. It's a beautiful program. It's called Infosys InStep. It's a global flagship internship program where we bring people from hundreds of different top universities into Infosys and into India. So when I joined, it was not in the top 100 internship brands. So he gave the goal that it doesn't need to be in top 100, it needs to be in top 10 global internship brands. Next 2 years, we took it head on. We analyzed 20 years of data. We made 170 tweaks in the program. So that one morning, I was in Australia, and I got a call. And you're like, okay, we have made it to top 100 maybe. So they said, yes, you have. And I'm like, yay! And then I said, so what's our ranking? Is it in top 10? And it's like, yes. And I'm like, okay, so what is it? They said, number 1. So my first call went to Mr. Murthy and said, sir, we made it. And my second call went to him, sir, we made it. The wonderful thing about Infosys is that you can fail, you can create again, you can create better. It gives you the solid backing that you can be anything that you want to be. You're not restricted by anything. I'm the second woman ever to be the chairperson of ISAC, which is the largest youth organization in the world. My founding chairperson was Ratan Tata in this job. My preceding chairperson was Ronnie Screwwala in this job. So when he nominated me, I was like, are you sure? Me? And he said, yeah, absolutely. I have traveled to 86 countries with Infosys, worked with over 100 nationalities, was counted in India's 30 under 30, have won I Am Woman Award. I work with 50 NGOs now on
amazing
water harvesting and whatnot. So thank you for sharing the spotlight.
Preetu, if you could just tell us how important it is to say yes to opportunities. How important is that, and how has that shaped your journey?
I did start off my journey with a pure science graduation, and then I wanted to, I worked at a healthcare pharma company. But then over the time, I decided my passion lied elsewhere. I wanted to do human resources, and there were a few people around me who did have apprehensions about where my career path was heading. But today I'm grateful and I'm so happy to be in an organization that has helped me find my passion, my voice, and what I love to do. So 3 things that has helped me in my journey. One is opportunities. Opportunities to grow, to succeed, and most importantly, experiment. The second part, what I want to talk about is purpose. The impact of the role that I have and having purpose in what I do and meaningful work is what motivates me. And coming to the third part, I think that's about managers, leaders, and the organization overall. I think it's very important to have people and leaders like Sumit who believe in you, who groom you from a very early stage. So I will just give 3 pointers to all the young women leaders out there. 1, never say no. Always strive for the best, and don't wait for opportunities to come to you. Find ways to get that opportunity. 2 is always be bold and find purpose and meaning in your work. And the last one is always be inquisitive in your thoughts.
Thank you. Thank you so much for summing it up so well for us. And thank you, Sumit. It's time for our next guest, and turning our attention to the world of technology and marketing, let's give a warm round of applause as we welcome Roshni Das. As Vice President, Global Marketing, Innovation, and India Marketing, Roshni is known for her transformative strategies that have reshaped Intel's marketing efforts across Asia Pacific. Roshni, of course, you've been a strong advocate for women in tech. If you could just quickly, Roshni, tell us, how have these experiences also, in a way, shaped your journey as a leader?
I think personally, I come from a really traditional background. I didn't even know whether I would be here. In the sense, for us, it was to be married, and the rest is history. So one of the things I tell most young women is focus on your right to education, focus on your right to economic independence, and then if you're lucky, focus on finding the right partner. So once you have that, I think life really becomes a little easy because you've got the right support ecosystem. I think a few initiatives that we're very conscious of, right? For every simple things, like in interview panels, for instance, when we are interviewing, we always have a woman panelist in the interviews, because unconsciously, if you don't have that, bias can creep in when you're bringing women into the fold. I think personally, as you evolve in as a leader, be a player and a coach. So some bit is coaching, some bit is playing.
So let me invite up on stage Shehnaz Zubin Bapuji, the founder and CEO of Skyful, who brings over 30 years of marketing and brand building expertise. We also have with us Aditi Nanda, who is the Chief of Staff for Intel's Sales and Marketing Group in India. Shehnaz, let me ask you a little bit about, what has helped you in your journey?
I am a very passionate individual. Very driven. I've never had to wait for people to tell me what to do. I've always wanted to do it on my own. That has its problems because that contagious energy can drive people up the wall, any sex. But what's kept me going really is self-belief and this whole idea that the world can be a better place. Leave your mark in whichever way you can. And in the process, be kind. As a leader, I've seen so many people. I've worked with CEOs, I've worked with founders. I continue to do so. I think one of the great promising things about Roshni is that she has her heart in the right place. And I've seen her have the heart in the right place, not only with the agency, but with the people she works with. We have so many conversations about so many things, and she's always conscious about her decisions. And how it will impact a lot of, life.
Let me come to you, Aditi. You have a diverse background, across leading tech companies. How have you leveraged that background when it comes to driving innovation and growth, but also growth for yourself?
Breaking down problems into smaller bits. I think that really helps us. As a technologist, you see the problem for its bits, sum of total, so you see that. And then when you break it down to its lowest denominator, it's easy to kind of find the answer and move forward from there. So that's what I would say, and that's how I've grown.
Lovely, thank you. Thank you for that, Aditi. Shehnaz, of course, Roshni. Now, please put your hands together for Ali Harris Sher, who is the COO, Biscuits and Cakes, food business at ITC. His innovative leadership at ITC Foods is setting new benchmarks in the industry. So, Ali, give me your quick thoughts on, the idea of diversity and inclusion. It's become a bit of a buzzword these days.
It's something really important, and I don't think I need to say that in this forum. But I think the starting point is the belief system. What is the belief system of the organization, and where is that belief system actually coming from? So we at ITC believe that a diverse workforce results in far richer discourse. It leads to much holistic perspective and leading to more creative solutions. The second thing is that when you have a diverse workforce and you have women, the value that you add to the solutions that you provide to your customers are far more holistic. In fact, we actually believe that having women as equal representatives in our organization adds a lot of value to men, because that's the perspective that men sometimes lack, and that's what they get. And just to give you a few data points, in the year 2023, of all the management trainees that we hired, 41% of them were women. Of all the interns that we hired in that year, last year, 47% of them were women. 5 of our large factories are majority women-operated factories. One factory, which is the latest factory, is 100% operated women factory.
Who are the women that you are acknowledging and sharing the spotlight with today?
All the 3 women that I'm sharing the spotlight with demonstrated deep sense of commitment, passion, and perseverance in their stories and their journeys.
With that, let me invite them up on stage. We have Karuna Sridevi, who is the Vice President and Head of Manufacturing for Snacks, Noodles, and Pasta at ITC. Joining her on stage are Kirti Agarwal, Senior Brand Manager for Biscuits and Cakes at ITC, and Dr. Deepti Kaushal, Lead Scientist at ITC's Life Sciences and Technology Center. Karuna, let me begin with you. You've successfully led a women majority factory and overseen the production of major brands. What personal values do you strive for in your leadership to foster diversity and inclusion?
In any organization, what leaders bring to the table is to be able to give an inclusive space, to be open-minded, and provide an equitable environment where everybody can express their views freely. So I think that is what I have seen in many of the leaders at ITC, including Ali, and that's what I take inspiration from him.
Kriti, let me come to you. You've been instrumental in shaping brand campaigns that resonate with consumers. What challenges have you faced as a woman in the marketing sector?
I work in the sector where we really need to connect with consumers, and especially on the brands which I work on are largely talking to women. One value which I truly believe when I work in my environment and organization, which really is important for women, is to give the empowerment, right? When you empower your team, or especially women, that lifts them up, right? The other belief system which I have is to foster inclusivity. So when we say inclusivity, it's women and men, both. So having the right balance of team and get the right perspective from both sides, yeah? And third, I would say to drive positive change.
Deepti, let me come to you as a lead scientist. Your work impacts a lot of lives. Tell me, what's that sense of responsibility that you feel when it comes to being a role model for other women entering the workforce and entering in areas and spaces that you work in?
When you see system believing in you, it gives you a push. It gives you a push to actually break the barriers and perform in a way that is beyond what you can actually imagine you can actually achieve. We have leadership programs in ITC like Accent, where we actually, senior leaders basically, we train junior leaders, we bring them on the table, we give them opportunities to learn, to speak, various extracurricular activities are organized. So that is where we have different things that are built in ITC. As a biologist, I see men and women both are same biologically. There's no significant difference between the two. When a work has to be given to a man, it can equally be given to a woman. So I don't see a difference in there. And with respect to distribution of work, when it comes to me as an individual, I divide work equally.
Thank you so much for sharing these insights with us. It was truly lovely to hear from each of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now let me call upon stage Shibani Garath, Associate Executive Producer at CNBC TV 18, to take the evening forward.
Now, our next guest is truly a trailblazer in her field, inspiring countless women with her personal triumphs. I'm pleased to invite on stage Veda Krishnamurthy, a seasoned Indian cricketer whose resilience on and off the field has made her a beacon of strength. You are someone who embodies, this phrase that, your comeback should be stronger than your setback. Tell us what motivates you to push forward.
See, I come from a very small town called Kadur, which is in Chikmagalur district. And when I was 12, when I finished my 7th grade, usually people around for high school and even for 11th, 12th, they kind of migrate to bigger cities for better opportunity, better education and stuff. But it was different for me. When I moved from Kadur to Bangalore, it was for cricket. That was unheard of in that town, in that city. People around me are like, are you sure? Like, seriously, is this a thing that you want to move out from home and go into a larger city where I have no clue about what is happening? And I said, yeah, this is what I wanted to do. And being part of a family where there is a lot of support. I think my mom and dad, throughout have been a support system for me. My dad, the emotional one. My mom was more practical when it came to things like that. At the age of 18, when I made it to the Indian team, I was one of the youngest who, made it to the Indian team. The tour was, it was a quadrangular series in England. So as a batter, what people say that you're a batter, so England is a difficult conditions for you to bat because the ball moves a lot. There's a lot of swing that comes into play, and I got my half century in the first game itself. And at the age of 19, I was dropped from the Indian team. That is where it hit me hard, saying that you really need to be working towards your goal every time. You can't think big of yourself, that you're going to achieve everything and it's going to come easy to you. And it was a hard-fought 3 years when I made my comeback again, and that is when I felt that I want to stay in this thing. So making your debut is a lot easier than comeback. So that is something which I learned in those 3 years.
That's amazing. Now let's first welcome Varna Bhatt, founder and CEO of Bliss Water Industries Private Limited, who has made her mark in alco-bev industry with the launch of Rahasya, India's first infused vodka. Joining her on the stage, we have Megha Pawan, the force behind True Millets, that is leading a nutrition revolution with millet-based alternatives. Varna, my first question to you is, tell us more about your journey as a woman entrepreneur in an industry which is dominated by men.
I'm probably one of the first women who has made whiskey in India. And we recently won a silver in the US. It came as a super surprise for us for this product. But coming to this particular story, so very early in my journey, when I'd just begun and just sort of put together the company in place, one of the things that I needed to do was get the license for my manufacturing the product. And I had to meet a few bureaucrats who were obviously men, and I was sitting across the table with this one gentleman who said, who of course looked at my file, went through the whole thing, and he said, why are you doing this? Why are you serving liquor? Why are you doing something that, he used certain very interesting terms, but he basically alluded to the fact that women shouldn't be serving alcohol, a woman shouldn't be doing any of this. My eyes went to a small photo on his table. Interestingly, happened to be his daughter. I sort of guessed it. So I said, is that your daughter? And I sort of changed tack. And he said, yeah. And he was very proud. And I said, what does she do? He said, she just graduated being a dentist. And I said, oh, wonderful. That's amazing. Does she only clean women's teeth? And I think he just looked at me. And the next thing he did was sign my papers. And he said, you are going to come and meet me every time that you're in Goa.
Okay, so Megha, your work with True Millets as well as Arka Cluster is reshaping the health food industry. So how do you balance the demands of the stress of being an entrepreneur while, managing your home and everything at the same time?
We built Arka Cluster Private Limited, where it's a 360 agro-based company. After 6 years, we created a group where my board decided Megha will be the CEO. I took a chance of that. Let us check, let us do something. So within a span of 6 months, the men from 100, I took to 40% of women-driven industry. So now Arka has 40% of women, and I'm very proud of that. So later that, I just wanted to extend one more hand when I delivered my twin baby. They were preterm babies again. So doctor told Megha, now this is your time to pause the work because you want to look after your child. I was like, why? Why me? No, I'm passionate about my work. I'm not leaving anything. You believe it or not, my babies were in NICU. After 1 week after my delivery, I was at my office. By telling, no, I'm not losing any one of my opportunity. For 6 months, we searched a company because I was not having so much time to build some company from scratch. So, and later, after 6 months of hard work only, I can say, we got a brand named as True Millet. 99% were women in that. I guess this is the opportunity now for me. Yeah. I sat, it was just a week a deal, we finished it, and at that day I told, I'm a proud owner of True Millets. When people will take millets, it should be a true millet.
Thank you so much, ladies. Thanks for joining us on Share the Spotlight today.
Thank you so much.
Please join me in welcoming Madhav Sehgal, Area Vice President, South India at Leela Palaces Hotels and Resorts to the stage. So Madhav, Chefs at Leela is a very unique initiative. Tell us, how was this program started and what was the thought and the need for such a program?
We believe firmly that the minute you start to measure the performance of a variable, the behavior of that variable will change. And the only way for you to be able to define reality precisely is to use the vocabulary of numbers. So when you measure diversity for what really it is in your business and you look at the percentages and things like that, a good hotel would boast and say that we are upwards of 25 to maybe at best 30% in diversity. And when you trickle those numbers down and divide them into departments and you see how it's distributed across the hotels, you will find that in culinary, and contrary to what many people would expect and think it to be the case, has the lowest amount of diversity in kitchens, right? And it's in low single digits. It's not very respectable. So there was an obvious need for us to try and address this. And we've heard through the day of all the benefits of having women in leadership roles and in general in the context of business. And in our business, that really means a lot because if it's empathy, if it's care, if it's the ability to be hospitable, if it's the ability to be able to really, we know who cooks good food at home, right? So if it's really to be able to get that right, we wanted to improve the diversity quotient in our kitchens. And that's what the root cause of the birthplace of Chefs at the Leela started about a year and a half ago in this hotel, and it's now become a countrywide, nationwide program for us since then.
Well, in your experience, what are the changes that are needed to drive that inclusivity and diversity? What can be done?
If I was to be bluntly honest with you, I think what's really required is to move away from a lot of noise and chatter and banter to real result-oriented, factual, actual, measurable actions and say that, okay, this chat is going to result in something tangible and real at the end of it, right?
And finally, before you leave, tell us, whom are you sharing the spotlight with?
We have a lot of stars in my team, and I'm grateful to them for being here. There is Ritu Kharik. Akshita is the director of training. Ankita is the head of revenue for cities based out of here. Nishu is our director of sales. Suchi heads ZLB, which is one of the biggest bars, best bar of India. And Ahana looks after the most expensive restaurant in India, which is called Lasarg, which is up here on the 5th floor. So I wanted to show you very quickly, briefly, that what fuels Leela Palace Bangalore is a lot of women power, and I'm really proud of them. Thank you so much to all of you for your hard work.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Madhav. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us over here. Let's extend a warm welcome to Anandita Velluri, Director Marketing, Adobe. She is a true visionary, renowned for steering Adobe's marketing strategies. Anandita has significantly amplified brand engagement and customer experience, harnessing digital tools to forge deeper connections and drive growth. You know, Adobe supports women through a lot of programs and initiatives like leadership circles and women's executive shadow program. How have these initiatives, shaped your leadership journey?
One of the biggest things that Adobe stands for is its people. Our biggest asset is people. And when we talk about people, women bring in perspectives, bring in an ability to have a lot more fun. So a lot of my team is actually women, and I was told by HR, can you please bring in some diversity? Because we were having just way too much of fun, But from an Adobe perspective, not only is it in terms of hiring, it is not only in terms of getting women back to work, it's not about just empowering them, it is about ensuring that every woman has an ability to create, to do something that is truly unique and helps them shine. So they are our biggest asset. They are the superstars in our organization.
You know, who are the women that you would like to share the spotlight with?
So, this is very interesting. I think I've taken the road that's less traveled because I have two women. One is a person who represents my organization. So I'd like to call upon Shruti, who actually leads, and she's the person who keeps me honest because she leads our entire analytics COE function for Adobe in India and for the APAC. The second lady is a person who is a very dear friend, a person who does not represent an organization. Please welcome Preeti Narayanan.
Thank you so much for joining us here today. My question to you, Shruti, is your career journey, I must say, has been truly inspiring. As a woman navigating this dynamic field, what were the pivotal moments of your journey?
So I think it was really interesting. I worked as a computer science engineer. I was employee number 6 way back in the day. That tech startup went kaput. What's new, right? So I said, we're a group of really smart engineers, but we have no idea how to make a business work. So went on, switched my career, said I want to learn how to make a business work, did an MBA, joined consulting, so I was a strategy consultant with Bain and, Tesco, etc. Living the really good corporate life, learning, traveling. And then I had a little baby girl. I said, I can't be traveling as much as I do because I want to be a hands-on mom. So I said, where can I use some of the skills I have but not travel as much? And sort of analytics stepped in, right? Sometimes I think women especially end up saying yes to a lot of things. You can't then balance it and you struggle. So it's equally important to build the no muscle, to have the courage to say no when you think something is not right for you, right? So that's an important one.
Now, Preeti, your journey has been of constant reinvention. So how have these experiences shaped you during your recent challenges?
Actually, I think my life view has changed in perspective. So I lost my husband a few months back. And I think till then, I was the biggest planner ever. I knew what I was doing tomorrow, next week, next year, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, and 20 years from now. I don't anymore. In all of these years, I moved from corporate to doing whatever I felt was right for me. I think the biggest thing, what Shruti just said about saying no, I think is such a big deal. And at each point in my life, as I have reinvented myself, I have listened to my own voice, and I had my husband standing behind me who told me that there is nothing in this world that you can't do. Now I've learned that plans don't always work the way you want to, and the good thing about this is that I have learned how to adapt to new things. So now I will start again.
Thank you so much. Thanks for sharing your story. Thank you so much for joining us today on the stage. Now let's please welcome Lavanya Pachisia, CEO of Zivame. Lavanya has been instrumental in transforming Zivame into a leader in online retail for women's lingerie. Lavanya, thank you so much. Thanks for joining us over today. You have transformed an industry, which is a retail industry, traditionally dominated by men, focusing on empowering women through comfort and confidence. Could you discuss the challenges you have faced and the values that shaped your approach?
We started Zivame to actually solve the poor shopping experience when it came to lingerie. It was the era where e-commerce was developing, and we kind of said that we will give you a safe shopping experience where you kind of take your mobile, order it, we will discreetly pack it and send it back at your house, right? So it was given that it will be for the woman, by the woman, for the woman. So that was given because we are dealing with a product which is very, very women-centric, okay? Today also, more than 70% of our organization, we have women. The challenge started when we started doing retail expansion. We today have more than 175 stores, and all stores are actually managed by women. We have 0 men workforce in our stores. So the challenge was, how do you get so many women who will be the store managers, the cluster managers, people who will work as fashion advisors, will serve the women what is the best way lingerie shopping can be done, So that is the mission, what we kind of started, the problem statement, what we put in. Sometimes we say for inclusion, let's get some men in. So that's how we kind of hired a couple of men in certain roles. But all customer-facing roles are all done by women.
Now, if you can share with us who inspired you and whom do you like to share the spotlight with?
I would like to share the spotlight. In Zivame, it's all about the product, what we build. So I have our two leaders who are here. One is Lakshmi. Lakshmi actually heads our innovation and product development. And the second leader whom I'm calling in is Kiruba, who is our head of sourcing and category.
Tell us more about your journey at Zivame. 11 years. How was your experience as a woman leader in the company?
My journey at Zivame has been a great. I have enjoyed every moment in past 11 years. The space has given me all the opportunity to go all out and explore this. So traditionally, this category was such that there was very limited product offering, and women were adjusting themselves to what is available in the market. Irrespective of your size, you may be an E-cup, but just because the products available in the market is D and double D, you're fitting yourself into that. So it was a difficult situation. And also this category is such that women are still not very vocal about their issues. People still do not openly talk about their likes, dislikes, comfort, discomfort, to an extent that they have got used to the problems. So we actually work along with the consumers, help them acknowledge that, see, this is an issue. You cannot just live with this, right? And in the process of decoding a pain point, we co-create products along with the consumer, ensuring that there is something for every life stage, every body type, every wardrobe requirement, right?
And over to you, Dr. Kiruba Devi P. Tell us more. 2 decades of experience in retail, buying and sourcing. Tell us more about, the insights of the category and how do they shape your decisions as a leader in Zivame?
It is a very tricky category to deal with, and I'm a person who only believes in data because nothing goes beyond data, right? And we do a lot of innovation. How do we really marry the data with the new product line, which is not even seen as data? So that puts me in a very tight spot to decide whether we can buy this or not. I think a fair amount of consumer studies that I have done in my doctorate helps me. We read the consumer signals very, very closely and ensure that the things are very data-driven, and then ensure that the category is rightly placed over there. It's a very difficult thing. I always worked with all niche categories where there is no availability of data. It's always you create the data, and you see to that it is successful, and a lot of money is packed on that. Yes.
Thanks for joining us today. Thanks for sharing these insights with us. Well, as we continue the evening, we now transition to a special chat focused on leadership and culture, building in the workplace. Enna Kurana, Chief People Officer at Chi-Square, is a leader who has been instrumental in creating inclusive environment where diversity is celebrated and employees are empowered to thrive. Please welcome her on the stage. So tell us, as leaders who ascend to higher positions, especially women, how can one ensure that leadership is both personal as well as purposeful?
Over the years, what we have tried to do is that we've tried to create an environment of empathy. And what we've done is that, what our core belief is that every individual is unique, and their approach to work is hence going to be very unique. And, then you have to understand the person, and you have to align them, with the organizational goals. So what it takes is a true hand-holding and a lot of, empowerment and enablement that you have to give them, so that firstly, they are able to identify their own individual purpose within the organization. So that that makes them, that aligns them with the organizational objective. And when, therefore, you're aligned with the organizational objectives, and you have identified your own personal goals, and then a team of like-minded people gets created, and then shared goals get created, right? So from individual goals to shared goals, and that is when it becomes truly purpose-driven. All right. So, and how do we, we try to enable that through empowerment, through autonomy, and a lot of flexibility.
Anna, if you can share with us some of the most effective DEIB strategies you have implemented in Chi-Square, and how have they transformed your workplace?
We believe that as much as, we don't look at it as a lot of, pushing a certain gender. We believe it's a lot about everybody coming together, equally represented. And everybody goes through their phases in life, and we just have to create a supportive work environment. Having said that, on a DIEB initiative, what we've done is we've created a certain different kind of initiatives. We have started sponsoring in meritorious youngsters from underrepresented and underprivileged backgrounds, especially girls, and we are promoting them to get their higher education. So that's one of the measures we've taken, and we've adopted orphanages, and we are trying to groom a lot of youngsters from both the genders into coming up to their full potential to the best way we can.
Thank you so much, Anna, for a deeply engaging conversation with us. Well, lastly, I'd like to welcome Vikram Damodaran, Chief Innovation Officer at Diageo India, known for his commitment to empowering women through diversity initiatives. Please give a welcome and a huge round of applause for Vikram. Well, Vikram, as a leader, known for fostering innovation and creativity, if you can share with us, how have your personal initiatives or leadership approaches contributed to empowering women?
I think as far as my personal role is concerned, my role is that of creativity. And what we're trying to do at Diageo India is really shape the future of celebration and consumption. And what's consumption and celebration without all genders being equanimous in the way we approach solutions? So for us, having women as part of the team, women contributing in multiple facets of the business play a huge role. I've had the good fortune of having been mentored by some of the best women in different facets of the business. Next thing that I also specifically come into, I also mentor a lot of people. 80% of the people that I mentor are women. And it's my way of giving back everything that I've learned from women in my life. The last thing is we have something called the Spirited Women's Network that we run in the company. And I am the chair of that particular initiative. The reason why I personally signed on to do that is to fundamentally answer that one question that Varna posed is this a great place for women to thrive? And that's exactly the stereotype that we want to break and give them an opportunity and a foundation to grow.
Tell me, Vikram, who would you like to share the spotlight?
Today, I decided to share the stage and the spotlight with somebody with whom I shared a stage and a spotlight 25 years ago when I actually got married, and that's my wife.
Well, let's welcome Vijay Lakshmi Damodaran. She dons many hats as the Chief Operating Officer of Cognizant Cloud and Infra Business, a social media influencer, animal rights activist, and a mother. From your diverse experience from engineering to activism, how has it shaped your leadership style?
So I became an engineer because it was lesser of the three evils that was presented to me. I had to choose between chartered accountancy, medicine, or engineering. I chose engineering. I did not like it. I was a very good student at school and really struggled during my college years. Now, my vice professor called me aside and he told me, it's very easy to top the charts once in a while. What is difficult is to consistently stay in the chart, to be consistently relevant. And of course, at that point of time, it was young blood. I probably laughed at his wise words. But much later in life, I understood the meaning of what he had to say. So being consistent is extremely important. And I can proudly say I'm consistently average. Because to be consistently average, you need a routine. You need to practice it, and it's not easy. My second takeaway is swiftness in making a decision. So I met him on IRC chat about 26 years ago, and that was the time when we didn't have Yahoo chats and so on and so forth. So he was a senior, he had passed out, he was in Houston, he came to meet me. He proposed within 24 hours of meeting me, and I said okay to him within another 24 hours. So 48 hours, life partner decision made. So right before the wedding, I went to my mom and said, I think, I'm not sure if this is the guy I want to marry. My mother, being the typical Indian mother, said, get out of the room, okay? Because she's invested so much in the wedding. And then I went to my dad and told him, I'm not sure if this is the guy I want to marry. Maybe I'll find a better guy. So my dad said, you know what, maybe it was a swift decision, and I'm sure you'll find a better man. And I'm sure he'll find a better woman as well. But it's about staying, with that decision and not worrying about how that decision can potentially go wrong in the future. And I think that was an important life decision. Even today, in my corporate role or in my, at home, I don't mull over decisions. I make my decision swiftly. Well, I've chosen him within 48 hours, and what could be bigger than that? So I think it's very important to make your decision swiftly.
Thank you so much, both of you, for joining us today on the stage.
Thanks
it was
for having us,
wonderful,
Shivani.
wonderful having you. Thank you.